run a hand over the dusty wall, a final inspection before the demolition crew arrives. A faint, almost imperceptible child's giggle echoes from somewhere deeper within the structure, then cuts off abruptly, replaced by a low, rhythmic static. My brass key, a familiar weight, feels unusually cold against my thigh. I pull it from my pocket, turning the worn metal over in my palm. On the floor, a single, fresh scuff mark mars the otherwise undisturbed dust. It leads towards a section of wall that seems too solid, too seamless. I follow the mark, my boot disturbing the fine layer of gray. The static grows a little louder as I approach the wall, a faint buzz in the air. I press my palm against the cool plaster. It feels different here, not quite right. My fingers trace a faint line, almost invisible, where no line should be. I push gently, a small test. The wall gives slightly, a soft groan barely audible over the rising static. A narrow gap opens, revealing a sliver of darkness. The static now pulses, a low thrumming sound that vibrates through the floor. I hesitate, my hand still gripping the cold brass key. I push the wall wider, stepping into the newly revealed space. Dust motes dance in the faint light from the hallway. Inside, small, worn toys sit on low shelves. Their painted eyes, wide and unblinking, seem to follow me, a silent audience. The rhythmic static fills this small room, coming from a small, cracked speaker on the floor. I take a step forward, my foot catching on something soft, a forgotten plush animal. I press my ear against a wall, the rhythmic static now clearer. A faint, repeating whisper cuts through it, "Play with us." The painted plaster feels oddly cool against my cheek. My brass key, heavy in my pocket, vibrates subtly. A faint tremor I feel through the worn fabric. I pull it out, the cold metal familiar in my palm. My fingers trace the wall's surface, searching for the seam I know is here. The whisper seems to grow louder, almost directly behind the plaster. I find the cleverly disguised latch, barely a hairline crack in the paint. My thumb brushes against a small, fresh scratch right beside it, a jagged mark on the smooth surface. It looks like something tried to pry it open from the inside. A shiver runs down my arm, not from cold. I hesitate, my hand hovering over the latch. The brass key feels heavier now, almost pulling my grip downwards. I push the key back into my pocket, a small mistake, as the vibration intensifies against my thigh. The static behind the wall shifts, becoming a low hum. I press my palm flat against the cool plaster, feeling a faint warmth now radiating from the scratch. The whisper repeats, closer this time, "Play with us." And I feel a slight give in the wall beneath my hand. It feels like the plaster itself is softening. I try to pull my hand back, but for a moment, it sticks. The key in my pocket now pulses with the rhythm of the static, a dull throb against my leg. I finally free my hand, leaving a faint, damp print on the wall. The scratch beside the latch seems deeper, almost fresh. A click echoes, and a narrow, dark opening appears before me. The repeating whisper grows louder, now overlaid with a harsh, buzzing static that prickles my ears. A strange warmth spreads from the brass key in my hand, making the fabric of my pants feel taut where it rests against my thigh. I reach for the door, my fingers brushing against a faint, sticky residue on the handle. It's almost like dried syrup, but with an acrid, metallic tang. My old scar, a thin line across my palm, tingles as I touch the cold metal. The static intensifies, pressing against my eardrums. The darkness beyond the opening seems to pull at the air, making it feel thin. I push the door inward, a slight resistance meeting my effort. The sticky residue clings to my fingertips, a small, unpleasant drag. As the door swings open further, the buzzing static shifts, now feeling like a vibration against my chest. The warmth from the brass key flares, almost burning through my pocket. I adjust my grip, the metal hot against my palm. Inside, the darkness is absolute, but not empty. A faint, rhythmic pulse begins, a low thrumming sound beneath the static and whispers. I take a step forward, my boots scuffing on something gritty on the floor. The opening behind me seems to shrink slightly, the edges blurring. I hesitate, my hand tightening on the key, feeling its intense heat. The air here is heavy, thick with the metallic scent, a new unknown. I notice a faint, shimmering outline just within the threshold, a shape I cannot quite define. It seems to ripple, almost breathing. My foot catches on a raised edge, a small stumble. I push the door open to a small room, dimly lit by a single grimy window. Rows of unnervingly realistic dolls and plush animals sit on shelves, their painted smiles too wide. The audio signal fragments into overlapping, distorted whispers around me, individual words barely discernible. My brass key feels suddenly heavy in my pocket, an impossible weight pulling the fabric down. On a low table, a small, brightly colored toy block lies several inches from its stack. As if nudged, I reach out, my fingers brushing the cool plastic. A whisper seems to sharpen, almost a name, and I hesitate, my hand hovering over the block. One of the dolls on the nearest shelf, a porcelain figure, tilts its head slowly. Its glass eyes, previously fixed, now seem to track my movement. I pull my hand back, a faint tremor running through my arm. The air in the room feels colder now, pressing against my skin. The whispers grow louder, a low hum beneath the fragmented words. I glance at the window. The light outside seems to dim further, even though the sky should be clear. I adjust the brass key in my pocket, the metal cold against my thigh, a small comfort. The block on the table remains untouched, waiting. Another doll, further down the shelf, shifts its position, its fabric rustling softly. The smiles on their faces feel less painted, more permanent now. I reach for the porcelain doll, my fingers hovering just above its painted cheek. Its eyes, dark and wide, seem to follow my movement across the dusty shelf. A faint, unnatural chill radiates from the ceramic, even before I make contact. My sleeve pulls back slightly, revealing the old, faded mark on my forearm, a reminder of a different, colder task. I hesitate, a small tremor running through my hand. The air around me feels heavy, thick with unspoken sounds, a low, constant hum. Then I touch the doll. Its surface is unnaturally cold, like polished ice, almost painful against my skin. As my fingertips graze its cheek, the low whispers in the room suddenly coalesce. They form a single, garbled voice, speaking directly into my ear. The sound has no source, just is, pressing against my eardrum like a physical weight. I flinch, pulling my head back slightly, but the voice persists, a buzzing in my skull. My brass key, usually cool and heavy in my pocket, now burns. A searing point of discomfort presses through the fabric of my pants, growing hotter by the second. I shift my weight, taking a small step back, trying to ease the pressure, but the heat intensifies. I pull my hand back from the doll, a small, almost invisible burn mark blossoming on my fingertip. It's a tiny red blister, already throbbing with a dull ache. The doll remains still, its painted eyes fixed on me. The whispers fade back to a low hum, but the heat from the key does not. I adjust my grip on the small bag I carry, my knuckles white. Something has definitely changed. I recoil, dropping the doll. It hits the worn carpet with a soft thud, but the sound feels too loud in the quiet room. Its painted eyes stare up, unblinking. Around it, the other toys on the low shelves seem to shift, a subtle, almost imperceptible movement. Their fixed smiles stretch wider, a slow, unnatural pull at their fabric mouths, making them look less like toys and more like something else. Their glass eyes, once dull, now feel sharp, all aimed directly at me. The garbled voice, a low rumble moments ago, now sounds eerily like my own. It echoes, distorted and hollow, repeating a phrase I'd only thought moments ago. This isn't right. The words hang in the air, a twisted mirror of my own mind, making my ears ache. My brass key, heavy against my leg, begins to vibrate violently. It thrums, a painful, insistent buzz that burns through the thin fabric of my trousers. I reach down, pressing my fingers against the warmth of the metal, trying to steady it, but the vibration only intensifies. I stumble back, my foot catching on a loose floorboard, a small mistake in the dim light. My hand scrapes hard against the sharp, plastic edge of a toy car on a low shelf. A thin, stinging cut opens across my palm, a bright line of red against my skin. I pull my hand away, clenching it into a fist, the pain a sharp reminder. The voice fades, leaving only the persistent hum of the key and the silent, watchful toys. The air feels thick, heavy with their gaze. The task remains. I lunge for the door, my hand slamming against the cold metal. It feels impossibly stuck, refusing to budge. The distorted chorus of my own voice intensifies, screaming my name from somewhere behind me. I try the handle again, twisting hard, but it remains locked tight. My fingers slip slightly on the cold brass, a small, useless effort. On the shelves, the doll's eyes begin to glow faintly, a dull orange ember. The light from them pulses, a slow, sickly beat, casting long shadows that seem to shift. My brass key, still in my pocket, sears through the fabric of my pants. The sharp, insistent pain pulls my attention, a constant throb against my thigh. I hesitate, my hand hovering over the pocket, unsure if touching it would make it worse. The air around me feels thick, almost viscous, making each breath a small effort. A fine, almost imperceptible layer of gray dust settles on my clothes, clinging to the fibers. I brush at my sleeve, but the dust seems to absorb into the material, leaving no trace of my action. The screaming chorus of my name grows louder, a frantic echo bouncing off the walls. It sounds like 1,000 versions of me, all in terror, all trapped. I press my palm against the door, feeling for any give, any weakness in its unyielding surface. The brass key burns hotter now, a focused point of agony, demanding my focus. The doll's glowing eyes track my movement, their tiny heads tilting. I take a shallow breath, the thick air heavy in my lungs, the dust now visible in the faint, pulsing light. I slam my shoulder against the door. The wood groans but doesn't give. Screams intensify, a deafening chorus now. My name echoes, a guttural roar from every direction. The doll's smiles stretch wider, grotesque, their glowing eyes fixed, unblinking. I glance at the faint, star-shaped scar on my left wrist, a reminder of the last time a task went sideways. I try the handle again, twisting hard. It's cold, unmoving. My grip slips slightly on the smooth metal. The dolls tilt their heads, a synchronized, unsettling movement. One of them, a porcelain figure with chipped paint, seems to step forward just a fraction. I pull my hand from the door, a shiver running down my arm. The key's heat intensifies, a sharp sting against my thigh. I hesitate, wondering if I should pull it out. The stain on my pants darkens, almost black now. A faint metallic smell fills the air, like old blood and rust. The screams shift, becoming whispers, closer now, right behind me. I turn, expecting to see something, but the hallway remains empty. The doll's eyes glow brighter, casting long, wavering shadows. I take a step back, bumping into the door again. The key pulses harder, a steady throb. It feels like it's trying to push its way through the fabric. I press my palm against the burning spot, trying to dull the pain. The whispers recede slightly, replaced by a low, rhythmic hum. The doll's eyes dim, their smiles less pronounced. The door remains shut, but the immediate threat feels different. I can still feel the key, a warm weight now, no longer searing. The stain is there, a permanent mark. The room twists around me, shelves groaning as they subtly shift, their contents blurring. The walls seem to breathe, a slow, unsettling expansion and contraction that pulls at my focus, making the air feel thick. Screaming voices fill the air, sharp and unbearable, punctuated by static bursts that feel like physical blows against my chest. I grip the tarnished brass key tighter, its searing heat a constant, unbearable agony in my palm. My fingers ache, threatening to release it, but I hold on, the metal digging into my flesh. I press my shoulder into the heavy door, the wood rough against my uniform. A low hum vibrates through the frame, resisting my push, almost pushing back. The voices spike, louder now, almost coherent, whispering names I don't recognize, pressing in from all sides. I hesitate, my foot slipping slightly on the slick floor, a small mistake that costs me momentum. The key burns deeper, a fresh wave of pain, making my vision blur for a moment, and I almost drop it. I grit my teeth, ignoring the throbbing scar on my forearm, a faint reminder of a previous task. The door shudders, but holds. I adjust my stance, taking a shallow breath, the static making my lungs ache. With a desperate surge, I throw my entire weight forward, a grunt escaping my lips as the wood splinters with a sharp crack, the sound swallowed by the screams. I wrench it open, feeling the frame tear under my force, leaving a deep, jagged gouge in the wood. I stumble through the opening, the key still searing in my hand, the twisting room momentarily behind me. The air on the other side is cold, still. The room twists around me, shelves groaning as they subtly shift, their contents blurring. The walls seem to breathe, a slow, unsettling expansion and contraction that pulls at my focus, making the air feel thick. Screaming voices fill the air, sharp and unbearable, punctuated by static bursts that feel like physical blows against my chest. I grip the tarnished brass key tighter, its searing heat a constant, unbearable agony in my palm. My fingers ache, threatening to release it, but I hold on, the metal digging into my flesh. I press my shoulder into the heavy door, the wood rough against my uniform. A low hum vibrates through the frame, resisting my push, almost pushing back. The voices spike, louder now, almost coherent, whispering names I don't recognize, pressing in from all sides. I hesitate, my foot slipping slightly on the slick floor, a small mistake that costs me momentum. The key burns deeper, a fresh wave of pain, making my vision blur for a moment, and I almost drop it. I grit my teeth, ignoring the throbbing scar on my forearm, a faint reminder of a previous task. The door shudders, but holds. I adjust my stance, taking a shallow breath, the static making my lungs ache. With a desperate surge, I throw my entire weight forward, a grunt escaping my lips as the wood splinters with a sharp crack, the sound swallowed by the screams. I wrench it open, feeling the frame tear under my force, leaving a deep, jagged gouge in the wood. I stumble through the opening, the key still searing in my hand, the twisting room momentarily behind me. The air on the other side is cold, still. I stumble out into the hallway, gasping for breath, as the screams and static abruptly cut off. The silence that follows is absolute, ringing in my ears, more terrifying than the noise. I spin around, my vision blurring, a dull ache already forming behind my eyes. The hidden room is gone, replaced by a solid, unmarked wall, pristine and seamless as if it had never been. My knees give out. I collapse, tearing the brass key from my pocket. It feels cool now, inert, a dead weight in my palm. A dull ache pulses on my thigh, a deep throb beneath my work pants. I press my fingers there, feeling the raised skin. A permanent, brass-colored brand glows faintly, a perfect key impression seared into my skin. The heat from it is subtle, a constant reminder of where I've been. I try to push myself up, but my arm trembles, refusing to hold my weight. A hallway lights above flicker once, a brief wink of darkness, then return to their steady hum. I notice a faint metallic scent in the air, like ozone in old iron. My gaze drifts back to the wall where the room had been. No seam, no trace. It feels colder there, somehow, a pocket of unnatural chill. I clench the inert key, its edges digging into my palm, a small, sharp pain that grounds me. This isn't over. The fatigue settles deeper into my bones, a heavy cloak I can't shake. I need to move, but my muscles protest. A low hum starts, barely audible, from somewhere down the corridor, a new vibration. I push again, forcing myself onto one knee, the brand on my leg throbbing gently. The task, whatever it was, feels incomplete. I scan the empty hall. The silence stretches.